to focus on building. Sing it loud and strong. Feel our hearts beat as one.
Welcome, brothers, welcome, sisters, welcome to our program On Target. And as usual, as soon as we start this program, you can pick up the telephone and give us a call. We never have a subject matter. We speak about anything. Politics, religion, socio-economic issues, or any topical issue of the day, and you too can introduce your own subject matter. You see, the democratic system in Grenada is alive and well, and it's dynamic. It's free and it's fair. Why do I say that? Because when you make a statement like that, you must make a little backup. Why do I say that? From 1984, we've been having election in Grenada periodically. All governments have had the election before the deadline reached. And within 24 hours of the closing of the poll, the side that loses election conceded defeat. And they have never challenged it in court. It means that all and sundry agree with the process. You might hear politicians talking about irregularities, but it's a molehill. Sometimes for the consumption of their own members. And it's difficult to accept the massive losses that has taken place. Sometimes you say little things to make your members feel a little more comfortable. But Grenadians could be very proud of the system that is good. And that is good. There are some things we must acknowledge about our country. You know. Grenada is a small country. We're smaller than St. Vincent, Dominica, and St. Lucia. Our population have not risen in any significant way in the last 60, 70 years. George Brizan calls us the island of conflicts because we have had a number of political upheavals. But it's important to understand that Grenada depends heavily on tourism, the service industry, remuneration from our people in the diaspora. So our image is important. And we must not just tear and say Grenada's image unjustifiably. I've taken up the habit that when I hear people saying negative things about Grenada, I ask questions. I say, give me some reason why you're saying that. And more often than not, they can't make a move. They don't have answers. Yes, we have a very active political dynamics in our country. We have two main political parties. And you would hear the politics. That is fair play, the politics. And we are very politically conscious people. Even those that are telling you they're neutral, they're picking up the colors, sometimes quietly so. But I believe it's important for the future of our country that there are some truths we must not camouflage. I say that all the time. I believe it is necessary because you have so much distortion of the truth in Grenada. We need to establish some facts. When you do, you cannot make statement about Grenada. Not you can, you could. But you shouldn't. Particularly politicos, political activists, the intelligentsia. We shouldn't be making statements about Grenada that would tar the image of Grenada. Sometimes you hear people make blanket statements. Whether we're speaking about electricity, telephone, water, and internet, Grenada is second to none in the Caribbean, comparable with the best and better than most. I've said that we always say that we have the most land owners in the region, and that is significant. It means that you would go to some community and struggle to find some people paying rent. But you don't have to believe me. Ask in your community how much people pay rent for the land where they're living in. A man in my community says family pig, family land. Some of them don't even have papers. They say it's my grandmother. And she say from generation to generation. So you are living here. And that helps you. So sometimes when we say Grenadians under pressure, people make these statements, and I guess for political reasons. It is not true. But what it does, it prevents of our people from being assertive. They're very negative. And they believe that the El Dorado is in foreign countries. United States of America and England and Frankfurt and Germany. They believe that's where the El Dorado is. Even our hardline communists leave Grenada and run in America. Few communists here in Grenada, you know. All of them in America and England and France. The same people who wanted to lock up Grenadians for counter-revolutionaries, they're in America. And I don't think it's good for little countries like us. Whether it's Dominica, St. Vincent, Barbados, or etc., people must have confidence in themselves. They must have confidence in their leaders. And if their system is good, say it is good. And we're not living in a vacuum. We're living in isolation. So you must do comparison. And normally we compare with the OECS and Barbados. Because Bajan traditionally say Old England, Little England. And we got the impression that they brighten everybody. But now you're realizing that all of us in the Caribbean have some serious problems with our education system. Of the 30 countries in the world with the best education system or the best result, none of them are black countries. And Brazil is not there. Brazil have the most black people outside of Africa. So that must be of concern to our educators. And it has nothing to do with genetics. It is as a result of environmental factors. We cannot give, people like to give before you was a child. Why you don't go to school? Daddy beat mommy. Why you don't go to school? We don't have food. Why you don't go to school? We don't have clothes. All this thing is wiped out in Grenada. The Ministry of Education and Social Affairs, they said that there is no child in Grenada, no parent, no guardian, no person could say that children cannot go to school or a child cannot go to school because they don't have the basic requirements. Compare that with United States of America. Ask your children and your brothers and sisters in the diaspora what it costs them for the child to go to school. Ask them. Ask them what it costs them for health if they don't have insurance or they don't have social card. You have something you have to look for in America. I don't know what. You have to have cards and numbers, social security numbers. In Grenada, the healthcare system in Grenada is relatively free. And the World Health Organization says, not Grenada say that, the World Health Organization, that Grenada have one of the best primary healthcare programs in the Caribbean. So when we constantly tarnishing the image of Grenada, it backfires on our people. Just imagine your child in your house listening to you, mother and father, spouse in the relationship, and you are very negative. There is a high possibility that your child is very negative. If you're in the house and you're cussing the neighbor every day, every time you open your mouth, like pus pouring out of your mouth, you're disrespectful, you're bad manners, you're making confusion with your neighbor, more often than not, your child come out like that. I mean, we have to understand monkey do what monkey see. So, yes, we have freedom of speech in Grenada. And we're better than Cuba, better than Russia, better than most countries in the world. We have a lot of radio stations, about 30. I don't think all of them is operating. And some have license, but they don't have a place to put the license in. So we have freedom of speech, but we have a responsibility, a duty, and an obligation not to tear we country asunder. Not to tear we country asunder. Malcolm X remind us about the fourth estate, you know. You say they could make an innocent man guilty and a guilty man innocent. But I believe they have a responsibility too, that when people make outrageous, blanket, negative statements about Grenada, they should ask questions. And you could give me a call. The number to call is 442-0175. Caller, welcome.
Yeah, Sophia.
Yes, my brother.
The statement you made, a couple times now I hear making the statement that the Ministry of Education say that there is no way that no child cannot go to school in Grenada. I keep asking people, telling people that, but people are telling me it's not true. So I don't know if the ministry get it wrong or what, but people keep telling me this is not true. Thank you.
I have, yes, caller. Caller, I've been on that statement for about 4 or 5 years. And they tell me if I find one, just get the name and give them. They say you don't have to go to them, you know. We go in and find them. The individual spoke with so much conviction. And I was interviewing her on the radio about 5, 6 years ago. She said, if you find one, if you hear the name of one, just give us the name and we go in and find them. She beat her chest on me, you know. And I like she chest. She beat her chest on me, you know. She said, you cannot find one. But if you dare find one, and I believe I could find one. That's why I'm on this issue over and over again. I'm on this issue. Because I believe there may be some people, because of mental or psychological problems, in a position not sending their children in school. And no child must be left back. Our schools in Grenada, you could compare them with anyone in the Caribbean. It is well staffed. We provide more money. Government provide more money. Or the social safety net package they have is better than most countries in the region. So what you do, you provide a buffer, a sponge for the people from the lower socio-economic strata, so that they must be able to send the children in school, and we want to get rid of the destitute poor. You can't say that in Jamaica. You can't say that in Guyana. So if you know the name of one person, you could call me and tell me. You could tell me after, or you could just call the Ministry of Education, Social Affairs. They say if you find one person, just tell them and they go in and find them. And this is remarkable. This is an achievement that we have. We have, caller, the number is 4420175. You see, these things are very important. And let me tell you why important. There is no children in Grenada, and I'm going above the age now when the assigned parents have to make decisions for children, that could say, I am going to school, but I have so much constraints and challenges, I cannot do well. Unless that child mad or the child has psychological problems. I understand that they have school feeding program. And if we have a call on the line, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother.
I remember about 6, 7, 8 years ago, a certain candidate that ran for top by the NDC said that children in Grenada eating chicken. And when they asked them to provide the evidence, no evidence, they couldn't provide no evidence. So I think that a lot of people, when they out of office and out of government office, they have nothing good to say about the country. Right? And they will say the worst thing. But I want to ask myself a question. When you say they was singing about the country, you run on the country, and all kind of getting up the country. When it came into, if you by election color come and you win, everything go come back good and dandy overnight. So I think people will be very careful what you're saying about the country. And I want to draw a comparison with that. Different them, a man and one day together for 20, 30 years. There was love and darling to treat us together. But now they're not together again. She become the worst person to him. Right? And you will run down and say, how can I make a thing about a person? And after 2 years, you and the person come back, best of friends again. And what you will say about the person? I think sometimes when, yes, you nothing govern again, but then remember, it's your country. Remember also that you and that lady, they was together, you have good times. Remember the good times. No relationship is perfect. No government can do everything. That is right. There will be mistake. And only what we could do when we make mistake. When you try to do something. But if you do try to do nothing, then you will be able to make mistake. Alright? So I want to say it to them because our neighbors should be very here. Yes, if you say something happen, I want okay, you oppose it, okay. But don't lie and say that is going on in your country. I know the truth. You understand? The bad name you give in your country outside there. People here, they will be because they see you there. You live in the country, so all see the truth. So I believe this country, Grenada, right now, on the right track. The Grenada could be a shining light of other countries in the Caribbean. Because when you look at, I remember in Barbados, with the COVID, for 1 month alone, I think Barbados might send home about 500 workers because of difficult time. But this government didn't send home any workers. They keep the workers. They keep the workers. Even with the gain, some of them, when they was home, they were still getting the salary. So this is a government that care, a government that love. I always hear some people say there is no love. There is people in the greater, the majority of people in the greater, they love and they care for people. I do one of the things that, okay, listen that you might not know what is going on. So that you who home and in the kitchen, you know, yes, sometimes you have to talk and let people know your concern. So that people will be willing to help. But sometimes they don't know if you do that. So, Mr. Pierre, that's what I
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much. I think one of the challenges that we have in Grenada is too much people who know the truth staying silent. You see, I say that because in my community and a number of communities that I had the issue to sojourn in, I saw people, I used to call them young millionaires. And they say, I'm posting my children away. I don't want them suffering in Grenada. These children practically had butler and maids here. Not formally, but if they wanted something done, they just called somebody to get it done. And the parents had hundreds of acres of land. And these children went to the United States, France, Spain, Aruba, and did menial jobs. There was maid, there was servant. They used to pick up dog poop on the road, security, and absolutely nothing is wrong with that, you know. But these people should have been opening big supermarket and business in Grenada because they have money. So what we did was to create an environment for these people to feel insecure. They wasn't assertive. And they believe that for them to succeed, they had to go to greener pastures. Now we're doing the same thing again. And all you have to do is to question. I say to people, don't believe me when I'm on the radio. Sometimes my mouth running faster than my brain. So I encourage you to ask questions. And if you don't trust other people, ask your children in the diaspora. Ask them how much money they're paying for rent. Find out what is a tax threshold. Find out what is the size of the cubicle they're living in. This simple information would help you. When you hear our people in the diaspora send clothes and jersey with number on it, hold them in high appreciation, you know. Because some of them doing 2 and 3 jobs. We in Grenada don't want to do one. We complaining like cry baby. Some of our relatives in the diaspora doing 3 jobs to able to help us here. And I think it's the time come for us to change that. We have to change our attitude. We have very good politicians in Grenada, you know. And when you say that, I must tell you why I say that. Our politicians is some of the best in the Caribbean. We could go back to the days of Gary. Gary driving in Paradise. Those fellas playing cricket in the road. And Jukes and them didn't like Gary. So they decided to upset him. He said, why are you playing cricket on the road? They say they have no way to play. Uncle Gary said, no, that is not good. That is not good. You'll get somebody to play. He mash up the whole best piece of cocoa in Paradise and he make progress back. When they take issue with Gary, Gary say action and progress. Expo 69, we have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good day, sir.
Yes, my brother. Punch.
Well, I'm punching. Now, I want to speak about some my development in my constituency of St. Patrick West. I am saying this country, well, everybody does have a little problem sometimes, even more than child, even for your husband and wife, you know, little thing, like domestic, that small thing. But what I'm saying is, in 2020, a lot of work was done in that constituency by the MP, Honorable Anthony Bosu. He said in 2018, I should say, he did not see fit to offer himself for any parliamentary seat in the future. So he passed on the baton to someone else. But I want to guarantee the people of St. Patrick West that all what started will be completed because it's one government, it's one party. There's a lot of things just as how the people of St. Patrick East are very lucky and fortunate to have a candidate who is working hard for them and who bring luck, like Ms. Pamela Moses. We will be doing the same in the West. We have 2 bridges at Montreat right now. One is, they're fighting to complete one to divert the traffic. We have the other one to start shortly after. We have some other byroads. I know it's government responsibility to give the people roads to uplift the standard of living. But I am saying this government is going the extra mile to upgrade nearly every corner. This is why last week I said on your program that I believe this time around Montreat is going to get its fair share. In spite of how people might be crying out, you still hardly could find a man on the block to make a day work, even to pick some cocoa. So I am seeing a big, big difference. This is why I'm saying government don't always win election by performance. But I will say the new National Party worked for the 4 years since they're in office. And they continue to work. This is why I'm saying this is one of the easiest elections to make a decision. Is this coming one whenever the bell is ring, because it is easy for who eyes to see and who have ears to hear. If you can see, you go here. The government is performing. First time in history we see a university in Mount Joe. I was a little boy in 1971 who bought the trowel and the mortar for the little Irish to put on the cornerstone to turn on the Mount Joe Secondary School. And now, today, we have a university. The people of Carano said they never thought they would have seen such a nice, beautiful gap in their front door before they died. So a lot of things is going for the people of St. Patrick. So I am saying, people, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. Open your eyes and listen news. Thank you for your good program, sir. Your program.
Thank you, caller. Thank you, caller. I always like to challenge our bright people in Grenada, our economists. When you have a harsh economic climate, when you have a pandemic, When you have a war that is has the possibility to cause the Third World War, you want your best trained minds to speak on economic issues. There are some people that say once you have these kind of economic issues, government must come in, government must intervene and spend money on the infrastructure of the country to help maintain the economy. And when the economy start to pick up back, then the government could slow down on it. And they say that is the correct economic policies. But you see, when our economy shut them out as if they don't have sense, then you leave people in limbo. Because some people might be, I hear some people asking questions, and I wonder why some of our economists don't answer. Take position. Maybe after you finish speak, it might motivate you to do a PhD or a paper. You know, it is when you come to Grenada and you look at the roads, and I've said already on a number of occasions and will continue, that we have one of the best network of roads in the region. But the quality of the roads in the villages, it gives you pride. You have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome. Caller, welcome. We lost that caller?
Yeah, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, brother.
At times I hear the bigger countries say that they have oil reserve. I don't really understand when they say they have oil reserve. Could you just explain that?
If you could just speak a little louder for us.
Yeah, at times I've heard the bigger countries say they have oil reserve. I mean, they have oil in reserve. Or a country like Grenada could do that.
Well, the United States of America, these people buy oil and they store. In addition to that, they buy oil fields. They sign deals with oil fields. So let us suppose you have a big American billionaire that's involved in oil, and he's working in conjunction with the government. They will come and buy Grenada oil, sign up deals with Grenada, and don't manufacture the oil. After they tie up Grenada hand, they would not manufacture that oil because they have it in reserve. In Canada, the pressure has been placed on Canada now because Canada could produce all the oil that Europe needs. But Canada is not manufacturing the oil. So Russia supplies Europe with about 30% in some instances of the energy needs. And Canada could do it. But Canada not doing it because these people thinking for 100 or 1,000 years from now. And United States perhaps have the biggest, been buying up oil all about and store them. Because all of them thinking about hard time and war. We in Grenada, we don't know reserve. The oil that we have, because, and definitely I believe we have oil in our waters. Because we live in Venezuela on the side, Trinidad and Guyana. Grenada must have oil. But we have reached so far in going for it. But it would take time and maybe take the economic situation and the circumstances before it is harvested. Perhaps if this war continue and it don't turn into a third world war, then we may see Grenada harvesting oil. Grenada getting result in the harvesting of oil. That is when they say they have a reserve. It's like you have money in the bank and you ain't doing nothing with it. It's like you buy a lot of land and you have it growing with the tree bees, bacano, bamboo, and balije, because you're not ready to harvest it yet. But instead of having money in the bank, you use the money and buy land. Because land appreciates. Unless you have a massive disaster, it don't depreciate like vehicles, a house, etc. So that is why Grenadians should invest more. Grenadians like to put their money in the bank and walk around like a turkey cock, heavyweight, have a lot of money in the bank. But inflation taking place and the banks are also charging you to keep your money in the bank rather than investing. Yes, caller. 442-0175. Give us a call on that or any other subject matter. It's very important for us as a people to be mindful that we are a small country. We are exposed to the climatic conditions. One of the issues in the world about the environment, small countries need to make the most noise. Because if sea level is rising, well, just now, Sotter's tongue might go, or Maki, or the lower lands. And United States of America have big land mass. So if a few thousand acres go, that is nothing. But in Grenada, we have small land mass. Sometimes when I hear people complain about the erosion on the beach, I just wonder if they don't realize that the environmental factors that are spoken about, it is real and it is true. You know? And our journalists sometimes, we will let the sensational individuals who propagating disinformation, they have a freedom to run. You know? And it's difficult for small countries. Every time the hurricane season approaches, they're worried. That is why you need solid governments. That is why you need political stability in a country, so that you are able to deal with the challenges that come. That is why we need the right attitude. That is why our people have to invest, and our people cannot unnecessarily tarnish the image of our country. And that is very important, you know. Because when people are spreading disinformation and rumor and camouflaging the truth, their children are listening. And then the children don't do well. They grow up very negative. They're praying for God to come. They believe the world will end. They become doomsday artists. You want your kids to be positive and assertive and prepared to take risk and face the future. And this is why I believe it is so important for establish. There is no reason, no justification for our children claiming they cannot succeed in school. None. And as you say none, people would ask why they can't succeed. Well, they have all I remember a man tell his son, I give you all the implements to conquer the enemy. The son failed maths, the man dropped some lash on him. The next day he passed maths. The man said, you have no reason to fail. In the same way I'm saying that. But our parents have to recognize that the children is a gift from God. The circumstances under which you had your child, maybe it might have been uncomfortable. Maybe you didn't ready for the child yet. Maybe you want to wait till you're 40 years to make your child rather than 16. But your child is a gift from God. And you have a responsibility to provide the best for the child and to get the child educated. And irrespective of the fact that government has done all what they need to do, including giving your child tablet, you have the wrong attitude. So I believe that is a good time. That is end time. You know. Right time for people to pray, to make sacrifice, and to give alms. When you pray, you like God. When you fast, you like yourself. And when you give alms, you like people. So now is a good time for parents to like their children. Make sure your child is well educated. This is a good time for parents to start. Start with a 5-year-old. Because those 16, you have to salvage. Some of them, you lose them already. You have to try and see what you could get back from them. But your 5-year-old, you have to start with them. And make sure that they have the right attitude so they could do well in school. And you could give me a call. The number to call is 442-0175. You know, it's very important. Somebody say, well, somebody at the top didn't get that gift from God. You mean the gift of a child? Because a child is a gift from God. But the sister says somebody didn't get that gift. Sometimes you don't get the gift, but you could help to grow up other gifts. You have a role for everybody in society now. Sometimes God believes you will be a better foster mother or stepmother. So you have a responsibility to grow up children, because all the children in the community, to a certain extent, you must feel like you have an obligation to help. If you don't, they might stone you when you get older, you know. Sometimes some people don't understand that. You have some children wrong you just because you didn't have your own. You didn't help them and the pell stone me and you. You know. So the children in the community, all of us need to help them. Somebody said the government that makes those children, so they have to mind them. Oh, no, the government didn't make any children. But you see, based upon the politics in any country, you need children. I have one of my brothers like to say, the government want you to pay tax. So they always take care of children, so the children could pay tax to provide for the children. Countries, even Japan today, are concerned about the population. Japan claiming that they have enough people. Japan have about 3% of foreigners, people who are not Japanese in the school system. Only about 3%. And they wanted to increase it to about 5%. Because they're concerned that the population, they don't have enough people. The whole Caribbean, perhaps with the exception of Jamaica, are concerned about the population. Guyana is almost twice the size of England. And Guyana don't have 1 million people. In Grenada here, our population is stagnant. So yes, a child is a gift from God. And you, the parents, have to hungry for education. Because there is no you cannot blame the system. You can't blame government. You can't blame electricity, telephone, or water. In the olden days, children used to wash up. Sometimes they bathe twice a week. They have 2 shots. 3 days with one, 2 days with the other. Today is different. We're in a better position. And we must make maximum use of it. Reading one of the posts from Facebook, some parents groom their children in a certain way, and that child going to school has to change based upon the school. Well, change is constant. One of the things we must understand, that change is constant. But parents is the first teacher, the second teacher, the last teacher. Black people is not hungry enough for education. I don't know if you know about Louis Farrakhan. About 27 years ago, they had a 1 million man match. I excited about that. When I speak to my partner in the rum shop, he said, what's wrong with you? What this men and them go marching in the tongue for? I think the goal of the 1 million man march was unity against economic and social issues and the affliction in Africa. The man say, why Louis Farrakhan don't get half of this 1 million people to contribute $10 and open a bank for black man to take loan? He said the power of the black man is in investment. I didn't agree with him then, but I will agree with him now. We dominate in the field of sports, in the field of music, in culture in the world, in education. We have a number of black people walking around with a briefcase or certificate. What's about investments? In a country like Grenada, you think we don't have some rich people? They have the money in the bank. Look at the trade union. Ask the Grenada trade union what investment they have. I think it's time for them to open a radio station. You don't believe it's a good idea for all these trade union leaders to come together and to get a radio station? And they can extend the facilities to the rest of the Caribbean. Instead of that, they're advocating work to rule. You know? Causing more hardship and more problems and greater challenge for our children to school. We have to do better as a people. We can't believe that we have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome.
Good morning, G. Good afternoon, G. Sir.
Yes, my brother.
How are you? How are you?
Great, man.
I like your energy. Trust me. I appreciate you, and I listen intently over the months since you're on the station. And continue, please, sir. But I don't know if we're buying it, because you see, we're still not coming together. We have a big problem in the black community, you know. And look, we knelt down this morning before the march, right? And that's in a statement, black against white. That's where we're focusing. We are not focusing on our own self. Unite, love each other, help each other to go forward. That's where basic problem. But you said something else with respect to leadership. You can't blame leaders. No, let me tell you, I am blaming leaders, right? And I am a typical example of blaming the leaders based on what happened to me through leaders. I'm saying, look at this happening in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia. How do we start? Who is responsible? Do we have sufficient money in the world or too much money in the world? Do we have too much food or insufficient food in the world? No. We have too much food in the world for humanity. We have too much money in the world for humanity. Where is the problem? The problem is leadership. Leadership have failed themselves. They have failed us. What are they fighting for? If we have food, we have monies, put people to work, let them buy the food with, what are we fighting for? And so this is a question I'm asking, could we stop the fight? Why are we pushing ideologies? If it is not working for all this amount of years I'm hearing is pushing what you call democracy and communism, we're pushing against each other. It's not working. Shouldn't we stop and recognize that we have to take care of the human element? We're making the wars. We're making commerce. We make the wars to shut down commerce. Yet we're blaming who? Who are we blaming for that? We have to blame our leaders. Our leaders are the problem. One particular country that is responsible for pushing this agenda. It's not working. Stop it. And refocus on humanity, the people you have behind you, below you, that you have to take care of. That should be our concern. Now, we are educating people, but we can't put them to job. Don't you expect that they will get fed up with the education? I have subjects, but I can't get a job with the subjects. So I could become frustrated. And I will deviate from the norms, the useful things I should do. I will deviate from that and concentrate on the negative to survive. It all boils down to leaders, colors, parties. That's where the problem is. And if these people would understand that they are leaders to take care of us, I was asking us to position ourselves to survive, I think we'll do much, much better. Focus on the citizens that you have to govern. And if we do that, I'm telling you, we're not going to wipe out unemployment totally. We're not going to wipe out these commissions from that we have there, but it will be reduced. But the people who have to solve the problem are creating the problem, which is the larger countries of the world. Those who could, what you call, put embargo on people. And they think it's a good thing because, okay, I'm managing him. I'm managing that particular leader. You're creating more problem because it's not only the leader that is suffering, the people is suffering more than the leaders.
Yeah.
And so we have to start telling these leaders, look, you are the problem. And you have to stop it. We, the citizens of the world, have to start standing up and demand that our leaders do not make these wars and ask your soldiers to go killing themselves. The police, to go standing in fields in the night to prevent what you have. We have to talk to our leaders because they are the problem, sir.
Yeah.
From Grenada right back to the tip of Alaska, the leaders are the problem. And we have to tell them that we are afraid in the United Nations is irrelevant right now. These international institutions is irrelevant because it's not solving our problem, right? And so we have to be telling them that.
Okay.
Why are we afraid when we go to these meetings to tell this people, look, we go and smile? No, you don't go smiling because you have a citizen to take care of. We have to get these people to stop it. And
Right.
would you put embargo on them? We have the raw material. And if we starve them from our raw material, obviously, I believe it will be a step to them change it. Look,
Thank you, Color. Yeah.
taking this thing to make war, we're going to deny this, Africa and the Caribbean. We're going to deny you certain things because it's selling it back to us.
Thank you.
And if you
Thank you.
would-
Yes, Scholar. Thank you very much. And it's a very important point. And sometimes we could only provoke discussion for this time. Most countries agree with multilateralism. So Ukraine is an independent country, a sovereign country. And Russia have no right to invade Ukraine. It's just as Grenada is an independent country. The Queen representative visited Jamaica, I think yesterday or a couple of days ago. And Wholeness informed her that they decide to part their way from the Queen. I thought that was a little unethical and insulting. I don't think that was the time for it, because it was the Queen representative there then. But I guess Wholeness wanted to make a point, particularly after Barbados lead the game. But what would we say if Britain decide to invade us back because they find we have too much a close alliance with China? Ukraine is an independent country. And this is why if you accept the principle of multilateralism, and if you accept the fact that Ukraine is an independent country, people from all corners of the world should condemn Russia. Because it doesn't matter how big a country is, they want solidarity. But in Grenada context too, when we listen to the radio station and you hear people making outrageous statements about Grenada, tarnishing the image of Grenada, we must condemn it. When we're in an economic situation, we had a massive pandemic. The economy is under stress, and all our economy shut them out. We must encourage them to open them out. When we take a decision to declare war on children, and the trade union come up with a sinister plan and say work to rule and denying children, we should have voices in Grenada saying, no, you cannot do that. Particularly Christians. Because the Bible says if you go after one of the little ones, it's better you put a milestone on your neck and jump in the deepest part of the sea. If we have an education system and 70% of the children cannot meet the minimum requirement, and when you look around, you find the government have provided all the enabling environment, we must speak out against that and say, no, you're not teaching the children good. And if we find the parents is lacking, we must speak out and say to the parents, you have to do better. You have to be more hungry for education. What is the problem? What is the challenge? And I think that is the way we could help. You see, it has to be a change of attitude. You know, over the years, I've been looking at, we have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hello?
Yes, my brother, welcome.
Yeah, how are you?
Great, man.
All right. Now, tell me something. All right. I mean, I heard what you said, right, and I kind of in agreement. But tell me something, right? The Caribbean, all right, we in the Eastern Caribbean here, right? We got independence from Britain, right? From England then, you know, who maybe 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 47, 60 years ago, whatever, right? You there?
Yeah.
Now, you think we could just pick up, okay, Grenada could just pick up so and say, okay, we want to affiliate, we want to affiliate ourselves with Russia?
Well, we have affiliation with Russia, China, and Cuba.
No,
We are Chinese here.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, okay, like they come in here and okay, and we joining with them, you know, in a sort of cohesive way then.
But you believe you believe it's gonna be correct for Britain to come and invade us for that?
Listen, the thing about it is, right, we say we are independent country, but we cannot, right? Because Mr. Pierre, you see what happened here in 1983. Right? You think this thing happened by guess?
Well, 83 was slightly different. Remember, Paul Schoon claimed that he invited the Americans.
Well,
There was anarchy and a breakdown in the system. The leadership of the government was executed, and Paul Schoon, as the head of the government, said that he invited the Americans to come. Whether it was before the fact or after the fact, he said he invited them.
but what I'm saying, what happened here in 1983, we Maurice Bisham and all the cabinet members was executed in the most brutal way. These things don't happen by no guess. Okay?
Well, it happened because the party were not united.
Well, listen to me. Listen. This unity among the party, this thing didn't happen by no guess neither, right? And this is what we have to understand. Listen to me. Mr. Pierre, now just let me say something here. And nothing in this world happened by guess. Okay? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. We just may not a lot of people may not understand how it happened, why it happened, what caused it. But nothing doesn't happen by guess.
You see, that is one of the reasons. When there must be a protocol, a medium, a procedure in place for settling dispute. So you have a government now, and we expect election, and you could have a motion of no confidence, and you have election. In 1983, there was no established modus operandi for settling dispute. It was left to Paul Schoon to make a decision. And Paul Schoon called Eugenia Charles and them and his friends.
No, but Mr. Pierre, but look at what happened the world over. Listen to me. We call ourselves big educated men and women the world over, right? Both local, regional, and international, right? Big educated brilliant men and women from all big institution of learning, right? From big university. And we cannot sit down as big men and women and trash out issues, right? And trash out differences. I mean, there will be, listen, at the end of the day, there will be dispute. There will be disagreements. But that don't mean that we have to slaughter each other mercilessly.
I agree with you. We don't have to massacre people.
Right? No. So the thing about it is, we call our, because up till now, right? I don't want to be too long, but up to now, it makes, I mean, you talk about education, yes. But it leaves me wondering if education is really the answer.
Yeah, is the answer.
No.
Education is the most important thing for poor people children.
No,
education.
No. Yes, but I am looking at I'm looking at the thing differently. Mr. Pierre, the worst atrocities and the worst injustices, right? That has committed. I mean, in this world, I mean, you know, as far as remember, it was done by well-educated people, you know. No. And that's a fact. Listen, I am not putting on education. I'm not saying education is wrong. Don't get me wrong, right? I'm just stating the facts.
Yeah.
No, the most brilliant, right, minds, right, the most educated, brilliant minds in our world, as far as memory could take us back, and the worst atrocities was done by our most brilliant, educated minds, you know. So I am left now wondering if education, if education is really the way out.
All right, thank you, Carla. We're coming to the end of it. Thank you very much. Yeah, you see, particularly in the Caribbean here, among black people, we need to make certain our children is educated. We can't joke with that. We can't hesitate. I sometimes I'm confused, I'm baffled when I see people who have secondary school education, have tertiary education, their children struggling. And it has nothing to do with genetics. It's environmental factors, principally the attitude of the parents and the attitude of the teachers. In all fairness, I say constantly, you go to a primary school, you have a principal, you have a deputy principal, you have one teacher for about 15 children. You have 2 cooks. You have 2 cleaners. You have groundsman. You might have security officers. You security officer. You have a hand sanitizer, like somebody to squeeze on children's hand. Then you still come back. You have coach. You have somebody for when hormones jumping up in children's body. This school is well staffed. Our teachers are more educated today than any other time in our history.
I agree.
Color, you is the last color. So you'll have to punch first. Yeah? So sorry we lose you. Now, this is important. Yes, color. Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, ma'am. And use the last color for the day, and you end by saying thank you. Go ahead.
I hear the President of America use words to Russian President calling him a war criminal. But America commit more atrocity than any country in the whole world. They do what they want. They step in country, they do what they want. They could handpick and they get all country to back them up. All countries are in the right to do what they want. And why? I feel the guy in Russia, I'm not condoning war, but the guy in to protect his backyard.
It's not right. Russia do right.
Yeah. Interference in his country and right in the back door. Thank you very much, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother. Yeah, it's important for us to understand that all these countries are members of the United Nations. And the United Nations rules on certain issue. And Ukraine is an independent country. And Russia and Ukraine signed once the Budapest Memorandum that practically they promised not to invade Ukraine. And Ukraine didn't join NATO, but they want to join NATO. So you destroying a country because they want to join NATO. They ain't join NATO. They want to join NATO. You're massacring them, you're bombing them. Ukraine have about 45 million people. It's difficult to, even though you massacre these people to run the country, you know, and I don't think you that justified. And I constantly, because we are also colonies, my heart is with the people in Ukraine. And thank you very much for us on the program today, and we want to thank our callers immensely. Thank you.
Some bound in chains, through battles waged and fought, through victory and pain, by test of their courage, our freedom was gained.